what is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 2023 EP by Kutt Calhoun. Basically this product is called Residue and it came out in the winter of 2023. So the thing about this is another project that's on Kutt Calhoun's new label, Black Gold, as far as this pitch can happen, which is the label he made and grafted to as far as this pitch can happen after he left Strange Music back in like the mid 2010s, 2014, 2015 or so. Just with the pitch, it's named after his 2013 album, the final album he put out on Strange Music, Black Gold, as far as this fair is going to happen. Now, I reviewed a number of these, some of these type fairs, like the Cut and Loose EP I reviewed back in late 2023. I reviewed Persona Non Grata, Truth Be Told, just back in February as far as this pitch can happen, which actually happened in late 2024, but it surfaced in February as far as this fair is going to happen. So then pitches like that, but then Kutt Calhoun took a number of years off, but he came back in 2023. So it's kind of within the pitch, Kutt Calhoun. It's kind of within the pitch, getting some more Kutt Calhoun type projects. I want to get towards some more of these. Now, Kutt Calhoun did drop a 2024 album as far as this fair is going to happen as well, so I want to get to some of these. I am going to start, like, you know, within the past I've said that it's not as super frequent that I review much music past like the early 2020s as far as this fair is going to happen. Not to say like I don't have an affinity for it, but just within the pitch I want to catch up with a lot of these folks from like back in the day as far as this fair is going to happen before getting to some more of these newer type projects. But with folks, as I started to catch up to their projects when I reviewed everything by them, like folks like Eminem and Post Malone and Marilyn Manson and some of these type folks, Kutt Calhoun is one of these ones that I've reviewed everything that he's done within the pitch behind. So everything he did on Strange Music and several of the things he did on Black Gold. The only thing left I have to get to is just his TDIAA, basically just Kutt Calhoun's TDIAL album, which came out in the fall of 2024. The Devil is a Lie as far as this first going to happen. So that's going to happen later. We'll get to some of that type fair, but I am eventually going to get to some 2024 albums by folks within the pitch behind. I have to get to Post Malone's 2024 album, which is going to happen soon enough, or within a relative type sense. It's the same thing with Kutt Calhoun. It will probably surface in 2025. We're going to get to some more of these. But yeah, basically this EP here, this 2023 EP by Kutt Calhoun, don't have anything to worry about. It is a classic here. I recommend all 5 of the songs on here. So it's within the pitch when I was thinking that some of this music was going to be kind of short up in like a more cleaner cut and just more health prone type format. It just within the fashion that Kutt Calhoun didn't fall prey to some of this type of stuff of like the more jaunted and just kind of discourse type atmosphere like that of the conditions of just like being too super fastidious and just kind of mindful of just like P's and Q's as far as those aspects going to go. So it's just within the pitch. I'm glad that Kutt Calhoun is still cutting loose on here within some of these type of aspects. So it's a classic EP, just be able to say that. Now, it's not to have a problem full bound with like some of these health bound type products within the pitch, but it's just kind of the concept when you get towards like the concept of just being afraid of your own shadow and some of those type pitches of just like the more aspects of just is really the purification of a lot of this type of stuff of just like the aspect of just being overlay kind of like fastidious with it. That's just kind of the concept. But I look after here, so this project relatively still minimal within a pitch. Kutt Calhoun still on like the same tip that he was back in like the 2010s, the late 2000s on Tech N9ne Strange Music label, but he has some similarities to Tech N9ne on here, and he really manages to harness like the concept of like some more darker type format to like personable type songs. So within the pitch, when you think of personable type masters like Eminem, Hopsin, NF, Tech N9ne, some of these type people, Kutt Calhoun is definitely one of those type folks, at least in these newer projects. Now, I want to say he did personable type songs in the past. Now, back when I was younger within the pitch, when I reviewed like Feature Presentation back in 2015, 2016, and some of those type ones like Raw and Uncut, some of those back in the day, I may not have caught this as full bound, but just in the pitch, Kutt Calhoun probably did have more personal songs like that on those days, but I just probably think I didn't enjoy them as much. But nowadays, I probably would. If I would have reviewed Raw and Uncut and Feature Presentation in 2024, 2025, I definitely said I probably would have full boundedly probably said that those were classics as well, but it's within the pitch. So I would also say on that tip to just realize that if I gave those albums like 6 and 7s out of 10 back in those days, 2015, 2016, just understand that they'd probably get a lot higher score nowadays just within the fair. But I look after it, just being able to say Kutt Calhoun gives off some Dracula type vibes on this particular product. Definitely very similar to Tech N9ne, like the KOD type days and all 6s and 7 type days, some of those type fairs. Pretty similar with that shrill type pitch, and this is pretty much like a very ghastly type product within the brief 5-song EP type format of what it does. So it's just the concept of really getting some of this. The personal type songs really hit. Kutt Calhoun does step out, and it's not as preachy as like Truth Be Told was either. It's not to say I had a problem with that. Kutt Calhoun just had a little bit more to digest and kind of say on that particular 2019 type project, but he still does have some gab on this project, but it's just in a more kind of contemporary type format, just not as much food for thought, and like the concept of really sitting down for a spell and saying, hey, you know, what's going on here, what's the concept of what's happening in the surroundings as much. I mean, it still has that, but just not the ferocity of it's probably turned down like 2, 3, or even 4 notches within the pitch as far as that particular kind of goes. But just what I had to say. So yeah, this EP gets a 10 out of 10. Now I'm not as full-bound sure if there was a single or any music video released from it. Within the pitch, Kutt Calhoun was probably more low-key than he was on Strange Music within the pitch as far as that particular kind of goes. So I don't know if there's like other folks that are on the Black Gold label. It'd be interesting if there were. I'd probably review them if within that pitch if there were. But I don't know if Kutt Calhoun, it's not like he's not rich within most formats. I mean, he's probably worth like 100,000, 150,000, somewhere in there. He might have a million or something like that. I'm not as full-bound sure if Kutt Calhoun would be a relative millionaire. He probably was back in the 2000s, 2010s, some of that type fair. I think he probably has collected enough money to be able to have within that pitch, but I just question. He's probably just lawyer money. Just probably would just say he probably has like 350 large, something like that, somewhere within that relative type range. Enough to have like 2 or 3 vehicles in the garage, places like that, just that sort of tone, just some sort of Bentley type music, that sort of tone within the pitch. But just would have to say, so the concept behind it, I'm going to treat the song I'm Back as if that's the single, because that's the relative type pitch. When you think of like a song like I've Been Dope, that was like one of the last singles seemingly that he put out. I mean, he did put out singles for Cut and Loose, but it's just in the pitch that this is one that's just typical kind of fare for like a more sociable type Kutt Calhoun. I mean, it's not to say this is the only club song, but within the brief 5-song package, this is like the one to go for in like an immediate kind of Friday night type sense. So I'm Back is like a snazzy kind of residential venue hop to kind of get here, just thrilling kind of get crunk night. I'd had to say it's like a thrilling kind of get crunk night. I'd have to say here within those pitches, just throwback Kutt glam as far as this pitch kind of goes. So it's good type fare to something. I like the essence of just thinking about one of those type ones. Definitely like some of those ones like Get Naked, Boom Boom. Definitely like some of those type ones from 2010. I mean, it has a little bit more jazzy type pizzazz, but it's a good type fashion. Get some of these thumpers within the pitch, but it's basically like the same orientation. Songs like Get Cut and Naked, same sort of orientation. Songs like Get Cut and Naked, Boom Boom Room off of like Raw and Uncut as far as those first gonna happen. So it's the same sort of festivity within a pitch, just Kutt Calhoun and his typical candor as far as those first gonna happen. Very awesome just in the pitch, just typical fare, and it works for what it is. Good to see him cutting loose like he normally does within those fares. But then some other ones on here, there's some ones like Been So Long, and like some ones on here like Let 'Em Know, Been So Long, and Last One Left that have this particular fare of like very Tech N9ne-esque kind of Dracula type formats of just feeling like leftovers that probably if Kutt Calhoun would have been more on like KOD from 2009, some of those type pitches, it's very haunted aspects, and it really makes Kutt Calhoun like a pretty good Prince of Darkness with the aspect of just being able to have some of that type fare, just the real concept, you know, even King of Darkness, whatever, however you want to say it within the pitch, but just being able to say within the aspect of just really having some of that type fare, just very gas type formats of just really having some of that. But look after here. So Therapy is a nice one. This is more oriented towards like 2010s trap type format within the tone behind it. Just being able to say here, this is one that sounds trendy to like the relative times. So the thing about it was just trap music, like the sort of songs that was similar to this when you think of folks like Ouija Mac and Lil Baby and some of these type of folks and Future and Young Thug and folks like that. Like the orientation behind what was particularly going on with some of those type folks is a lot of it was kind of in like a wounded type stage. It's like trap was just kind of revving its wheels just because Gunna was having problems, Young Thug was having problems, Lil Baby was having problems, folks like that just around that particular time. So it was just kind of in the revving type stage, just getting some of that trap that just felt familiar to like 2017, 2018, 2019, but Calhoun was still doing it within a relative type sense. It works for what it is, but it feels ripped out of 2018, 2019, but Therapy is a nice song, excellent type ones, like a brooding kind of late 2010s trap similar ride out to kind of get here, has Hella Noctis for some cruises, just within pitch like that, definite stunt type music, just typical of the fashion like late 2010s trap, some of those type fairs had to say, and it's like some good grim rumination as far as those aspects going to go. So it's a clever type format, just Kutt Calhoun talking about the things, problems that are kind of going on within some of those type pitches. Very similar like the stuff that was kind of on Truth Be Told, some of that type format, but it's a clever type song format within the pitch behind it. It's a good, nice one to kind of have some thoughts while just stunting within those pitches as far as the action type fare. So Let 'Em Know is like vintage Kutt Calhoun here within some of those type pitches from like the Strange Music days that I'd say it's like a piercing kind of late commerce outs to kind of get within those contexts. A good pitch for that. It just reminds me of like 2013 being a song off there called Self-Preservation. Some of those type fares is very kind of looming and just ominous type night venue type heat within those pitches as far as that particular gun goes. Just some paranoia to kind of get within those aspects. This really just feels like there's demons behind you, something like that. Like you're kind of being watched or followed. Just having that Tupac kind of like paranoia, just some riding type music, just like Death Row in the Corner. Some of those type fares just in a more night venue kind of piercing, kind of dark type sense within the pitch. So it's good type tone for that. Good nice one to kind of have within some of that aspect there. Just typical type format of Kutt Calhoun within some of that type fare that just reminds of like songs from like Raw and Uncut and Black Gold. Some of those type pitches that I'd say good type tone. And then Been So Long is a nice one as well. And this is like an oozing kind of Dracula-like night saunter to kind of get here. Just gives shrill Tech N9ne kind of vibes. So definitely has a pretty leery song kind of get within those pitches. Now, I would definitely say that Been So Long is like some venue type noise just in the pitch, just amidst like the night mist as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just good type fare for that. Definite Taco Bell run type music, just real spook type fare, just looking pretty snazzy within the pitch, just having the concept of just really that crisp kind of Dracula autumn type pitch within the fare behind it. Just like Tech N9ne, some of those type folks even hops in within some of those type senses. Good pitches for some of that type fare, I'd have to say. And then last one left. This probably has one of the best beats on here. I mean, this whole EP is excellently produced. It doesn't have any weak points or weak links as far as those pitches can go, but this is a real haunting type one that's similar to like 3-6 Mafia and folks like that kind of have that like those haunting kind of piano gas type ones within the pitch. Real nice one on here. It's like a fatigued and kind of last one left is like a fatigued and woozy kind of Dracula ruminations kind of get here. Just dark ambience I would feel like about this here just within the pitch. Just a personal smash kind of get within those tones. So it's just a good aspect for some of this. These are some of those type ones. Therapy is a personal song. Been So Long is kind of like that as well. This kind of a rumination type one just out and about I'd have to say. And last one left is definitely within that pitch. Just like that very gas type one. It's just within the different pitches seeing that Kutt Calhoun can pull off some of these type vibes because it just has like you would think within a certain sense just listening to this if you don't really know who Kutt Calhoun is like that is within the pitch that you think that this was like DJ Paul or Juicy J or like folks like that Hobson or Tech N9ne, some of those type folks, maybe even Chris Calico within certain senses. Just some of those particular type fare like alternative and kind of more low key kind of underground rap within the pitch, but it works for what it is. Kutt Calhoun definitely pulls off this vibe easily within the pitch behind it, so it's good type fare. So that's the aspect behind it. So yeah, this EP gets a 10 out of 10, easy enough to kind of say recommend all the songs and with an easy kind of clean sweep type fashion on top of that. Just I'd say just hand over fist excellence just within the pitch behind it. Simple kind of king of darkness within the pitch as far as those particular fares kind of happen. So it's just excellence type fare. So I would say the social score within the pitch, I would probably give the social score a 10, but I just looked after it's a little bit more low key within the sense there. It may not have been like a music video or any promotion towards this. I'd probably say 9.75 just in the aspect. I mean, it doesn't have much of a learning curve within the pitch. This is just a similar type fare for any folks out there that really thoroughly enjoyed Tech N9ne, Stevie Stone, some of those type folks, Chris Calico, a lot of these folks, Hobson, some of these type folks in particular, folks like that, folks like Swizz and Ritz and some of those type folks. This is simple enough to recommend. This is right in that ballpark and kind of alley as far as those pitches can happen. So it's just an easy kind of cousin that and simple enough to recommend for folks who may be full blown don't know about Kutt Calhoun. I've realized within the pitch, just paying attention to it, like Chris Calico is just not as commonly talked about within the pitch. You know, folks that would remember Chris Calico being on Strange Music back in 2005 and 2008 and 2012, some of those type figures. That's kind of 12, 13 years ago now within the pitch. This is kind of the concept. Folks who possibly still commonly remember that Kutt Calhoun was associated with Tech N9ne back in like the 2000s. He was dropping albums with Tech N9ne back in 2004, 2008, some of those type figures 2007. So it's just in the pitch. That's kind of some time ago within the pitch behind it, just looking after it there. But the Tech N9ne affiliation is probably since long gone. It's just in the pitch that there are similarities, and I think just within the concept, it's just it's not probably like it's probably not a coincidence that there are similarities still to Tech N9ne. There were good pals and some good aspects that they do have some similarities, and it's easy enough to see that's kind of some dope stuff that they do within the pitch. So it's excellent type fare. Is to look after within that tone. It's just kind of the concept as far as saying that nowadays he just seems like a more kind of ostracized type one, not necessarily full blown ostracized like he's just not quality, but it's just in the pitch it just doesn't seem like he gets like most of like kind of the accolades as full blown like he probably needs within the pitch. So it's just kind of concept a little bit more low key within the sense. It seems more in hardcore type territory within the social bite kind of it within the pitch. But these songs are great for like Dracula-like runs, Taco Bell runs, pitches like that. Just some of the fierce kind of outing type fare, just that night commerce and just being in the night wind pitches like that. Some of the type fare, just cruise arounds pitches like that. Just all that good conduct of like crisp kind of autumns and winters as far as those fares can happen. So good type tone. So 9.75 in terms of the future. Like Kutt Calhoun has put out like a 2024 album within some of those type fares. So we'll have to see about that one as far as those particular pitches kind of go along with it. But this is like a classic in terms of like early 2020s type fare. Just the concept of just getting like something that just is kind of like a shot in the arm for like reviving stuff. Just because most of the time, folks, when it comes to mainstream rap, kind of feel like rap is kind of like hoggling along as far as those pitches gonna happen, just doesn't seem to have anything predominant apart from like the Drake and Kendrick type fare in that particular beef, and then just also throwing in J. Cole and maybe Eminem, some of those type folks. I mean, apart from like the super big names, it's just not some of these type fares that seem to be pumping out classics, and Kutt Calhoun easily put one out just within a 5-song EP. So it's just some bitches for us saying, don't ignore this, just in the fair. But yeah, there's a 2024 album. We'll get to some of those type ones, but it's going to be happening down the road. But other than that, I've covered everything else by Kutt Calhoun apart from that particular one. So fuck with the Kutt Calhoun playlist as far as those pitches going to go, and we'll get to some more of these down the road.